Good afternoon, everyone. It is August 18th, 2022. This is the Committee of the Whole for the summer session. Next thing I'd like to do is start off with the land acknowledgement. I'd like to acknowledge that we're meeting on the traditional lands of Acadia First Nations, part of Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Item number 3, additions or deletions to the agenda. Does anyone have any? Councillor Patty Durkee.
I would like to add Sanford Drawbridge to the agenda, please. That would probably go under new business.
Yep, new business 9.3, Sanford Drawbridge. Excuse me, my writing skills are much slower than typing, believe it or not. Any others? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Moved by Councillor Sherry Hurlbert. Sorry, I was breathing in the middle of that. Councillor Sherry Hurlbert, second by Councillor Daniel Allen. Motion on the floor to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Please note in the meeting minutes at the very start, item number 1, Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham is absent with regrets. Councillor Cushing is also not here. All right, item number 5, if there's any declaration of conflict of interest. Councillor Durkee?
I'd like to state that I have a conflict of interest with 8.2, the Friends of the Yarmouth Light Grant request.
All right.
Sound like Elmer Fudd.
Seems to be a problem with every one of us talking to you, myself included. All right, so when that item comes up, Councillor, please step away from the chair, and that will be noted in the meeting minutes. All right, if there's any others, please notify me, and we'll make sure that that's written down in the minutes. Item number 6, presentations. Item 6.1, Western Regional Enterprise Network. We have with us today Mr. Rob Stevenson. So if you wouldn't mind, Rob, come on down, hit that red button on that microphone. You don't have to speak directly into it. It picks it up wherever, and I'll turn your microphone on. You have the floor.
All right. Hello, Council. It's really nice to see you folks enjoying yourselves in these meetings. It's great. Good work environment. I'm here today from the Western REN, the Regional Enterprise Network. Is anyone not familiar with what we do at all? I'm basically an economic development officer with the Western REN, and my main job is outreach to our region's business owners. And we have a couple of programs with ACOA funding right now, and I'm here to talk about one of them with you. And I'm here to make you aware of this program, and at the same time ask you for a bit of help in getting the word out to some of your constituent business owners. The program is called the Succession Planning Program, or the Business Transition Planning Program, and it helps business owners to get ready to and sell their business when the time comes. So I'll just go through this. I've got a few slides on it. Why are small businesses important to our region? They provide our region with more jobs than all other sectors. They're the largest source of wealth creation in a region. They're often the largest source of consumer spending in the community, and they provide services for the community, and small and medium enterprises really enhance the community's quality of life. They also help attract and retain residents in the area. Why is keeping these businesses here important to our economy? It's for the economic activity that they generate. Most businesses buy from other businesses in the community, and they create a web of interdependent businesses and a network of positive economic activity. Overall, growth begets growth, and the community benefits from having these businesses here. Businesses are in this web of growth, as we can think of it, are interdependent. Many of these businesses are here to work with the local companies already here and to serve the people of the community. And as businesses move in and out of the region, economic activity grows or contracts with them. The loss of a few businesses can cause the loss of more businesses. An example of this would be the mink industry. As the mink industry declined, a lot of supporting businesses went with it. Our program, the Business Transition Planning Program, aims to reduce the loss of businesses from our region. Okay, that's what we're working on. The interdependent network of businesses in our community is very important for our economy. A successful example of this network of businesses would be the seafood harvesting sector. It supports many other businesses, like the seafood processors themselves, the boat shops, packaging manufacturing, equipment manufacturing and repair, metal and welding shops, refrigeration companies, trucking companies, rope and net manufacturers, lobster trap manufacturers, bait companies, as well as the retailers and services in our communities. So it's, and many others. It's, that's the whole gist behind an interrelated community of businesses. Risk factors for a community in terms of retaining businesses and economic stability would be our population stagnation. These are all things that may affect our retention of businesses. Declining job creation numbers, low or declining household income, lack of industry diversity, large number of businesses with owners over 55, and the overall age of the business community, and the number of businesses founded more than, say, 20 years ago. And if there are a large number of owners with no transition plan, a plan for retiring and selling out. So, are there any questions on any of this, or? Okay. Our aging business owners, for Canadian population statistics, Canada has 1.2 million small and medium enterprise employers. They employ 10.8 million workers in Canada. They have a total value of $1.5 trillion. 60% of these are baby boomers. They're getting up there in age, of course. The boomers portion of, well, I'm one too, so boomers portion of business value is significantly higher than the 60% of the $1.5 trillion, because those businesses have been in business longer and they've gotten bigger, and so they those businesses account for a larger portion of that $1.5 trillion. Now, 72% of business owners overall plan to exit by 2028, 5-6 years time. COVID seems to have augmented this sentiment, because that was a statistic from the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses in a survey in 2018. So there's, and believe me, my job is to go and meet with business owners. I can have a day where I meet 5 business owners. 3 of them want to talk about succession planning, because if somebody made them an offer today, they'd be gone tomorrow. There's a lot of people ready for it that haven't even scratched the surface of getting ready for their retirement. Our region, of course, has similar demographics to those above trends. Many business owners are ready to retire, as I say. How can we help? What are we trying to do at the Western Wren? Uh-oh, we just crashed here. Let me just see. I don't remember what we're trying to do at the Western Wren. Now what do I do? I have to get my notes out. That's good. Okay, we're good? That's all right. Yeah, so we're trying to keep this economic activity in our region. by providing business transition planning projects for our business owners. It helps a business owner plan for the sale and transition of their business, okay? And I've met several businesses in the last 2 days that they're, a gem of a service in their community, and they don't have a plan for selling their business. And some of them are just saying, well, I don't know what to do. No one's going to buy this, so I'm just going to basically liquidate it and shut it down. So anyway, we're trying to avoid that as best we can. Why are successful business transition important to our business owners and employees? For the owners, a good plan will help maximize the value of their business. 75 to 95% of an owner's personal net worth is in their business. And that's a stat also from the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses. This represents, as you can imagine, the owner's retirement fund. Our region's business owners are often key participants in the well-being of the community. Usually they're helping out in the community, and they're great people to support. For the employees of these businesses, well, obviously it represents a job. And good transition plans keep the business strong during a transition to a new owner, helps keep that employment, that job, keeps the employee working, and it creates also a positive work environment for the employee under the new owner, as they go forward. Good planning reduces employee stress through the transition as well. So that's what we're trying to accomplish. So what is business transition planning exactly? It's the pathway for independent business owners to exit the company. It readies the business for the new owners, and it helps maintain a business's key relationships with clients, suppliers, stakeholders, partners, financial institutions, government agencies, etc. The planning process helps identify many issues that a new owner may not have foreseen, and this can save them time and money, and it can prevent a disaster too. I've seen a number of cases in this where they've run into serious problems because they just didn't take into account a difficulty or an issue because they didn't have this type of planning. Planning makes the transition smooth for everyone. Overall, there are 7 pathways to business transition. Intergenerational transfer, handing it down to the kids. This is a picture of one of those. Transfer between partners, sale to management, sale to employees, sale to a third party, partial sale or recapitalization, and orderly liquidation. And trying to avoid orderly liquidation and having something shut down. I was just with someone this morning or yesterday afternoon who's got a service station and convenience store, and he's in his 60s, I guess, and just deciding to walk away from it, going to shut it down. And he's kind of remote, and he just said, well, I had it on the market for a while and nobody wants it, so I'm going to shut it down. And that's that service, the retail, gas, service station in that community, that's not going to be there anymore. No one is going to come back and open a brand new service station. Probably cost them $1 million to set up a new service station. That asset in that community is just going to be gone. That's what we're trying to avoid with this program. And we're trying to get the owner a price so that he can have a retirement fund as well. And these can be combined. Are the business owners ready for the transition? Only one-third of business owners do not even know where to start, nor what their options are for developing a succession plan, and I would suspect it's even higher than that, actually. So how does our program work? Well, we pair up a consultant with a business owner to develop a succession plan and a transition plan. It's tailored to the business's unique needs. It is 88% subsidized, the vast majority by ACOA. It typically takes about 2 to 3 months. The project may include some of the following tools depending on the business's requirement: business valuation, financial analysis, streamlining of the operational processes of the business, developing business for sale, marketing and communication strategies, helping seek buyers and potential investors, planning labor requirements for the transition, like hiring, internal promotion and training, and considering all aspects of HR, and assessing potential opportunities for the growth of the firm and others according to the needs of the business. Now, not all of the projects will not have all of those things for sure, but depending on the business, they'll pick and choose what is needed for that particular business at the time. The Western Ren Business Transition Planning Program started in the fall of 2021. 10 companies participated. This is one company that was sold, Chuck's Diner in town, in the mall, and he had a positive testimonial to say about it. And that was a success story. The vast majority of our projects too are confidential for a number of reasons. And so a lot of them we're not going to get testimonials out of until after probably a sale, if then. So my request for council today is please reach out to your constituent business owners, especially those who may be thinking of selling, and let them know about this transition program. Let them know that this is out there. It's money from ACOA, and it's there to help them sell their businesses, especially the ones who think that it might be difficult to sell their businesses. We're here to help them. So,
Any questions? Councillor Patty Durkee, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Rob, very informative, and yes, I try to promote the Ren all the time, and have actually set up a company that wants succession planning. What I want to know is, do we go outside when a business is closing? Do we go beyond just here, the area, to try and locate people to purchase the businesses? And that's the first question. And the second goes along kind of, we have a huge influx of people that have moved here. Are any of those people interested in starting new businesses? Are you finding that that's the case?
those are great questions. And in a lot of cases, it depends on the business, on what the focus of the consultant will be. For some people, some business owners, their only focus is saying, find me a buyer. It doesn't matter from where, it can be from overseas or out west or wherever, just find me a buyer. Others need a valuation done to know how much to charge for the business. Some of them know people who are interested in their businesses already, and some of them need a plan to do a sale to employees and management. So it depends on where the business is at and what the priorities are at that business, but definitely we have a portfolio of 6 different certified business transition succession planning consultants that we draw from. We did a request for consultant proposal, and we've got 6 approved. They are all with experience in looking for and marketing to buyers outside of the region, for sure. So we had a succession planning program going 2 years ago. Brenda Legrander was leading it, and it was a good plan too. It was a matchmaking program run through a company, a succession planning or a succession company that basically did matchmaking. We've changed this format, the format of this program, over to a consultant-based one, basically because we had a number of continuous improvement programs where the owners of those companies were using continuous improvement to ready their business for sale. So we saw this trend, and we saw the need for this type of a service for these businesses in getting their businesses ready. So this is basically succession planning 2.0 for the Wren. Succession planning 3.0, to get back to your question, is we're going to be looking a little bit more at attracting investors. We do have a lot of newcomers to the area, be they Canadians or be they international newcomers who've arrived. We have several international newcomers who've arrived here in the last few years who are business owners and looking to buy more businesses, actually. So this is quite interesting as far as succession planning goes. So yes, we are looking for, and our consultants are capable of working with both, investors who are outside of our area and newcomers to our area as well. Also, we have a number of investors here in our area who have money, have investments, and I think it's important for us to raise awareness as well that, if they're investing in investment funds in the stock market, it's perhaps a good idea for them to consider investing in local businesses here as well, putting back into the community. We have a number of people in the community who are good stewards of their community and perhaps have never considered just investing in a small business in this area, whether to run it themselves or perhaps to have a good manager run it for them as an investor. So that's kind of where we're going maybe next year with this program. So
Thank you.
Turn it off and go on.
I don't think it's the,
Actually, that's not too bad.
let's go with this. Thank you very much. And yes, you can appreciate our humor and our sense, we have to have a sense of humor to get through these meetings sometimes. Thank you very much. And, I just recently, I'm on the board for the Western Nova Scotia exhibition, and, when you talk about small business, that was definitely, it's always an eye-opener for me in how many small businesses support us. And, to see any one of those, close or have to close, in the future. So, I definitely see the importance. And we'll be talking to, businesses in the municipality, not necessarily just in my district, but, ones that I see. And maybe through the word to the CAO, is there any way on our social media that we could, if you provided some kind of promo to us, that we could, maybe promote that through our website and Facebook page, maybe?
Definitely, and what we normally do is we don't create new content, we'll track along with the Wren, and we will like and share their content. Yep.
I will get you something in the next couple of days too. I do a follow-up with councils that I present to, so for sure.
That's a good point. I always try to make sure that I promote things like this. Small businesses are the backbones of our communities, and they spawn other businesses, spin-off businesses. Businesses can be anything from farming industry, which Rob mentioned, to convenience, to service, whether it be welding,
Yeah.
whatever. So you're absolutely right on that, Rob, in regards to small businesses that are locally owned, more than likely contribute to the community they're in. So, is there any more questions for Rob? Hearing none? Thank you very much, appreciate it, and
Thank you.
looking forward to that information, and as soon as I see it pop up on our Facebook page, I'll certainly share it. I find social media is a really good way of getting the word out, especially if it's followed by a bunch of people and then it's reshared, so absolutely.
Good. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, council, very much. Thanks.
Sorry, I got a message.
Oh, you got a message?
From me to you.
From me to you.
It's a potential match. I'll be attached, yeah.
Very good. All right, thank you very much.
All right, item 6.2, Director of Public Works. Since I'm having a lot of trouble stumbling over my words, we have with us Derek Sutherland. You have the floor.
Good afternoon, Warden, Council, fellow staff. I have a brief outline of our Public Works report. I think it's been distributed, so I'll just run through it quickly, and if you have any questions after, feel free to ask. So our capital projects under the Public Works scope are progressing well. The sidewalk project, as most people are aware, is in Hebron is well underway. We're potentially right now around the groundwork stage with mainly storm drainage is nearly the halfway mark, and some areas we're up to grade and potentially ready for curbing concrete. The weather there has been quite cooperative with the contractor to allow them to get this far, and because it has been dry, it's been in their favor to. They haven't missed many rain delays for their daily work. So the work on Port Maitland sections are to begin in the near future, and we have just got an update. They're looking to try to be in the Port Maitland the first week of September. We've also just had word that the pole moves that we're looking at are potentially to begin tomorrow, as long as the Nova Scotia Power and Alliant doesn't have any emergency situations. So that looks like that's going to move forward quickly. So the property fencing for the hill outside here was awarded and it has actually been completed. Our salt building footing project has been awarded. Contractor says they were looking to start hopefully this week, doing some excavating, if not next week. Our I&I study for the Hebron-Dayton system is progressing. Our timeline on that has been back and forth, but we've just got a recent update on their deliverables for that, so we're back on track and hoping in the next week to have some more details on that for sure. We've had some pump stations in the Hebron Business Park commissioning which will service the FedEx court. That project is pretty much complete with the power and control panels and everything has been installed. Budgetary wise, we are on target so far with our projections. Again, our cost and deliverables, equipment and parts is the biggest hurdle. Delivery times is a huge factor in our planning, so we're finding that typical deliveries of things that were 4 to 8 weeks are now 10 to 12 weeks, 15 to 20. Right? So that's a little more pre-thinking going into some things to make sure we get them on time. So all our wastewater systems are operating as required. We've purchased one new pump under our capital wastewater budget for our lift station in Hebron here in LS2, which had failed and it was beyond repair as far as the issues that was with it. We've had the new construction inquiries within our wastewater system areas are still steady, along with development inquiries around service areas in conjunction with the development department and their inquiries. Our DSDS sign has been deployed in various locations from the predetermined list and is ongoing. Cape Verschool, we've had a pretty good summer so far down there. Groundworks and our routine maintenance is going well. So if there's any questions, feel free to ask.
Councillor Daniel Allen, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Derek. I'm just going to go back through. So lift station 2, you say are we waiting on a new pump now?
Yes.
So is it's still operational, what we have there? We have temporary fixing, what do we got going?
All of our pump stations have redundant systems in them, so there's always 2 pumps. So if one is failed, we still have another one. So in LS2, we have a backup rental pump.
Until the new one comes.
Replacing the other one until the new one comes in. Typically, we can get by in that, but the lead time because of deliverables on that second pump, because of the way things are, is so we was proactive and put a rental in there just to be safe, because originally it was come from Sweden for a 12 to 15 week delivery. Now we're 8 to 10 weeks out of U.S. factory. So.
Okay, super. What is the timeline for completion for the sidewalk in Dayton? Like, what are we? I know, I'm like you, the weather's been really good. I think there's been one day I went through that they really probably couldn't have worked. We were talking about that before the meeting, so I'm just curious as to what is our projected timeline?
Just recently speaking with them, they want to be moving, like I said, into Port Maitland the first week of September. So the curbing most of the curbing through Hebron will try to be done in conjunction. They'd like to have that ready, but I don't think it's going to happen. So they're looking September, October for completion, right?
For completion,
Yeah.
okay. And the DSDS, that's a speed sign that we
Yes,
deploy out.
that's correct.
I see there's a predetermined list. I have actually been getting calls about if there was people must notice it, because I've actually gotten calls for people asking if it could be set up in an area because of the speed of the vehicles. Where would I find the list and find out if the areas I'm looking for are on it, or how do I get them on it? Do I go through you? Do I go through the chair to Madam CAO?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yep, so our policy talks about using the DSDS machine as a data gathering device to inform capital projects, but also as a public safety piece. So where we get reports of excessive speed and whatnot, councillors can just send it along to us. Through the Public Works Department, we maintain a list of where it's supposed to go, where it's scheduled to go, and there's always room for it. It just might not be right when you want it. It might have to wait its turn in the queue. And we take it down in early December, and it stays down until the spring, just because the winter weather, it's not designed to be out in that. So yeah, so just send along a note to me, and we'll get it added to the queue. It just might not be right away.
Oh, that's understandable, yeah, that's fine, okay.
Just as a reminder, so we have a policy that kind of governs it. So it goes up, it stays up for 2 weeks, and then it comes down. It, won't stay anywhere for a month or anything like that. Yep.
Nope, that's fine. I just was curious. I thought I knew how it worked and just wanted to double check.
Any other questions? I'm going to continue on that line of questioning in regards to the DSDS sign. As we all know, we lost one earlier. This one here is trackable, correct?
Yes, the cloud-based software that's in it is a little more robust than the design that we had in the previous one. So, again, when it goes out, it may not be exactly where the request is because we try to look for an area that's a little more busier, maybe closer to a home, somewhere that if a pole is available, we'll fasten the safety bracket or the anti-theft bracket to an actual pole. We trying to avoid the square tube sign poles as much as possible, but there's anti-tamper bolts and stuff that go with them, but a power pole is the best location for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to go back to I know what the I&I study is for Hebron Dayton, but what does I&I stand for? I hate acronyms. There's so many.
Inflow and infiltration.
That's it. All I could think of is infrastructure, and I couldn't get that I word out of my head. Inflow, yeah. All right, is there any more questions for Derek? If not,
Thank you.
thank you very much,
Thanks, everyone.
Derek. I know you're busy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, item number 7.1, correspondence for action. The first annual Emancipation Day Festival at the Greenville Community Center. You all have that in your package, and you can see that it was originally sent out to me. Unfortunately, I have things that I've already committed to that day. I may be able to make it later on in the day. This is starting at 2 o'clock, and they're requesting that we have a representative there from the municipality to give out a few words. So is anyone available for 2 o'clock on Saturday? Councillor Hilton? So will you be able to go? We'll have staff supply you with some notes, and they wish for you to speak on behalf of the municipality. So I'll send a note off to Wanda Doucette that's in there. And thank you very much for doing that. I'm hoping to get out there by 3:34. I understand they have a lot of events going on that day. There's going to be opening ceremonies, there's going to be a barbecue, kids games. Also, there's a band that's going out there that evening, but that is not free. Who is the band? Yeah, Carson Downey Band is going to be out there. That's a fee of $10. But this is their first annual event. Very pleased that we're recognized and invited to go out there, and thank you very much, Councillor Hilton, for going on council's behalf. The deputy warden, as we all know, is away, but I should make it out later in the day. So thank you very much for that. Item 7.2, for information, we have information from the Property Valuation Services Corporation, PVSC Municipal Consultation, and also a report from Nova Scotia Gaming Summary of Results. Item number 8, old business. 8.1, Leaders of Tomorrow Bursary Discussion. You all have that in your package, and actually, I was the one that had asked to bring this forward to Committee of the Whole for some discussion. As you all know, I had the pleasure of handing out our bursaries this year to the deserving students for the graduating class this year at the Yarmouth High School. And I remember us talking before about there seemed to be a lack of applicants this year. Usually there's a lot of interest in it, and for whatever reason, whether it's due to COVID or other factors in there, I would like to see this program opened up, and I'm wondering if there's any barriers in our leadership for tomorrow bursary discussion. In the application form, there's a requirement for marks. I believe that may be a barrier. Like, some people do very well in school and some people don't do as well in school. I'm wondering if maybe instead of having a requirement for marks, having just a requirement that they're going to be graduating from high school that year. There's things in there like that, so I'm going to open up the floor to discussion on that. If you don't find that there's any issues with the way that it's set up now, that's fine. But I'd like to see it possibly renewed. And I'm also wondering too, if Leaderships of Tomorrow bursary, if that should not be renamed, because not everyone is going to be going into a leadership role. Sometimes some of those people are going into the trades. Which this year I believe there was no people going into the trades that applied for this bursary this year. Which trades people, for me, is near and dear to my heart. I'm part of the trades. I have a red seal in both automotive and electrical, so I'd like to see more people get in the trades, because we're not only have a shortage of workers in the medical fields, which a lot of people seem to be coming from that area, but we also have a lot of openings in skilled trades. And I'm just wondering, looking for ways that we could possibly modify this this application. So I'm going to open up the floor to the first one, would be Councillor Patty Durkee. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'd like to thank you for putting this on for discussion. I couldn't agree with you more. As a former teacher, there are those students who work really hard but don't necessarily get the highest grades, and I would like to see us take out the transcript. I think graduating from high school is important, and I think that being said, the idea is to have someone going on to, we're paying for, helping to pay for school, so that shouldn't matter what kind of school it is. So maybe the transcript is something we could take out and just ensure that they will be graduating. But I think it's really important. Students have multiple intelligences, which means they learn in so many different ways and have so many different strengths. And we want to make sure that everyone feels that they could qualify for one of these applications to go off and take whatever program that they want to. So thank you. I agree with you. So I would take out the transcript as well and just that they're graduating.
Councillor Hurlbert.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. When we talk about the title of the bursary, Leaders of Tomorrow, I've always been told that you shouldn't say it should change unless you have a suggestion, but I have no suggestion. But I think that, following along with your comments, I would be okay with the name of the bursary changing, I just don't have any suggestions at the ready. And when we look at the first document, you know, it does say successful completion of the requirements of the high school diploma at a private or public or private school, or a diploma where the student is homeschooled. So I think that that in and of itself, you know, shows that they have to have graduated. So I'm not sure I would agree, you know, with both of you and both you and Councillor Durkee, that we don't really need to see their transcript. You know, as long as we know they're graduating, they're not going to get the money unless they are, you know, walking across the stage. So I'm okay with both of those, but have no suggestions on a title. Thank you.
You could move Councillor Hurlbert over to, just bring your sign over to Councillor Cushing's. Maybe it's, Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I completely agree with both Councillor Durkee and Councillor Hurlbert. I don't believe the marks, you know, should be the reflection. As far as leaders of tomorrow, I really don't have a problem with that, because I'd probably look at it as a different way, because I think anyone that's moving forward has the possibility of leading, whether you're a mechanic, doesn't matter to me. Like, you know, if you're moving forward, you're the people that are going to bring us into the future, so you're leading us one way or the other. I don't have a problem with the title. I'm like Sherry, unless we had a better idea, but the title doesn't bother me. But I agree, I think we should look at advertising it. Not everybody knows about every bursary. As a person that sat through 4 hours of a graduation ceremony this year, I think it was quite long. The bursaries and grants that were coming out of the woodwork from places that I didn't realize even gave them. So I think just maybe an education piece, I don't know if it's an education piece on that we do offer this, to make sure that everyone that is in our community that is graduating knows it's there and has the opportunity to apply. I think that would go a long ways to getting, you know, down deep and hopefully get a few more applications.
So what I'm hearing is some of you would like to see some change to this, the name, but one of the name you're unsure of, but I'm going to ask the CAO. So if council made a motion to move this recommendation forward to council for staff to take this policy and revisit it and bring it back at a future committee of the whole meeting for review, would that be in order, Madam CAO? There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we can go back and take a peek at it. I remember the conversation that resulted in the name of the bursary a few years ago when we took our last review on this, and there was a lot of discussion around the word leader and what that might mean or not mean to the individuals who were hoping to apply. So we'll have a look around. We'll provide you with some options to consider on that. I know that some are comfortable with it and some think, well, maybe there is a better route, so we'll take a look at it for sure. When the application packages come in, from an administrative perspective, I do think that requiring a letter from the administration confirming that the applicant is on track to graduate is important. Because of the timing of the work, council deliberates the applications well in advance of graduation, and it's too late graduation night if you have a check in your hand for an individual who doesn't walk. So I do think we will have to substitute the transcript for something more appropriate, because the purpose of the transcript was just to confirm that the candidate is on track to graduate. So we don't need the marks for that. Just a letter from administration confirming that they're on track to graduate is sufficient, you know, for what we needed. And then the other piece that I noted this year and last year was, if I go back to what I heard from council when we reviewed this last time, one of the main purposes of the bursary is to help where there's financial need. And we actually, if you look at our application process, we actually don't have a mechanism where we can differentiate among the applicants based on financial need. So I think if it's okay with council, I'll take a look at how can we have the application process include a way for an applicant to demonstrate, financial need. Maybe we ask, how are you funding your application? Are you self-funding, or do you need student loans to go to university, trade school, or technical college? So I'll give that some thought too, because I have noted that we're skewing a little bit away from what some of the intended purposes are. And then just one final thing, Mr. Chair, is around the advertising mechanisms. So our tradition has been, Mark always engages directly with the guidance counselors at the high schools where we could have potential candidates. We do advertise in the Clare Shopper on our Facebook page and our website, but we're toying with maybe engaging directly with grade 12 students. Still doing those things because they're good things, but to Councillor Allen's point, some of the graduates, you don't know what you don't know, right? And unless you get turning over stones, you might miss an opportunity for a little bit of money to help you with your education. So we're toying around with an idea on maybe doing some direct engagement with grade 12 classes. So if you can think of any other ideas to help get the word out and help people understand what it's about, just let us know and we can include them in the briefing note back to council for your consideration.
Councillor Nick Hilton, my apologies, I didn't see your microphone flashing.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, and thank you, Madam CAO, for that update as well. But I guess I'll just give my 2 cents since we've gone through everybody. And I know one thing for me, when we were evaluating all the applicants, is that it was very subjective, not very objective. So part of bringing that back to council, maybe some sort of matrix on how we evaluate those would be beneficial for me. It shouldn't be so much who I know, it should be who best represents what we're looking for. So I would like a metric to be attached to those, attached to the new policy, and really we don't have to have two bursaries under the same name. We could have multiple names and give out separate bursaries. One could be for people taking trades, and one could be for someone that wants to attend university level courses. So you can give them different names, you can do whatever. So there's lots of leeway for staff to bring back an entire new policy. So that would be my 2 cents. Thanks.
Excellent point. Councillor Durkee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and yes, I agree. Great point, Councillor Hilton. I just want to talk a little bit about Daniel's comment about education and our CAO's comment. You know, it wouldn't hurt for one of council to go in and speak to the grade 12 classes and do a little bit of information about the importance of municipal councils. I think it's at that age, I think it's really important. They're going to be coming of age to be able to vote. And I know there are probably a lot of students who really do not understand the differences between the 3 levels of government. So it might be a great opportunity to do a little presentation on that, understanding the importance of volunteering in our communities, and then at that point also include the information about the bursary. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, Councillor Hurlbert.
We need a motion.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to move to regular council the recommendation that staff review the Leaders of Tomorrow bursary and how we can improve that policy.
Yep. Motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Patty Durkee. Any discussion on that motion on the floor? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Our regular council meeting coming up, there is a section under here, recommendations from the committee of the whole, so we'll add that under item 6.1.2 there. It's regards to Leaders of Tomorrow bursary. I'm just writing this down, just making sure that I don't miss it in the regular council meeting. Okay, thank you very much for that, council. Good discussion on that, and we're always on the, looking for ways to help students across the municipality district of Yarmouth further their education needs, so thank you very much for that. Good input as well. All right, item 8.2, Councillor Patty Durkee had previously declared a conflict in this. It's in regards to item 8.2, Friends of the Yarmouth Light Grants Request. Please note in the minutes that Councillor Durkee has left the table and left the council chambers. All right. You all have that in your package. What is the wishes of council? Councillor Daniel Allen, you have the floor.
So just for clarification, is this a, when is this application for? I guess, is this something that we can refer to our grant process coming up? Or is it an early application, it's a late application?
The CEO will answer your question.
So this application is for this fiscal year. You had tabled it until you had dealt with some unfinished business with the applicant, and so that's all looked after now.
Okay, super. So if I may, Mr. Chair?
Yep, you still have the floor.
So I see a $52,000 project budget, but I don't actually see,
Right next to it, right to the right, the ask is 5,000.
yeah, I see the
Yeah.
ask, but I'm
Yeah.
just trying to find out, what is the project? Or is it just operation?
No, if you... I saw it here yeah, so I think it's on the fourth page in the budget for the project. So it's a specific project for, it's an interpretive project inside the building where the museum is. So this is to pull together a specific exhibit, if I understand it correctly.
So the exhibit is 52,000?
Development and operation of a museum. So they're in a bit of a restart or startup phase, and I think this is to help with that part. So it's not really, they've ticked off operating.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Councillor Hurlbert, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to the CAO, can you tell us, and I was trying to find out how much we had left in our contingency. Do you know how much we have there?
I think we set aside $2,500 for this in your
That's what
contingency
we
plan.
had. So in our previous discussion, we said 2,500 if
everything works out.
everything
Yep,
got us to this point we are today.
yep.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Councillor Hilton, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and just through you to the CAO, is everything, are we able to discuss the press release? Was that?
Yeah, so the press release was issued, Councillor Hilton. We had a great experience working collaboratively on that. We're working now on the exchange of goods, getting them moved. We issued our refund to them last week, so this is one of the last pieces of business.
Okay, thank you, Madam CAO. And, you know, for the public, it's the first time we'll really be talking about Friends of the Light in several, open in several years, and I think it's great to acknowledge that we're building some trust with that relationship, and that we tabled this grant request when we were doing other grants because of other issues, but I will make a motion that we support this grant request in the amount of $2,500 to the Friends of the Yarmouth Light, operational or just getting back on their feet, but I'm in support of that.
All right, so you just made that a motion.
To recommend to
Or
council.
recommendation to council,
Yeah,
correct?
recommendation to council, thank you.
Seconded by Councillor Allen. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
So just
Motion carried unanimously.
Just one more thing on that, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go
Yep.
ahead,
So there
Liz.
was also an ask from this organization to look at the 2 previous years, and our books are closed for the previous fiscal years, so we can't go back and do something that is inside the books that we've already closed. So I just want to put that out there so everybody understands why we can't go back.
Councillor Hilton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I think, again, we had that discussion 2 years ago. I think it's important for the public to know that we're not, at any point where the Friends of the Yarmouth Light or Harbourfront Museum wants to come back to council with an additional ask or an updated ask, we would consider that at this time, and I hope the board realizes that just because we're not, for me personally, because we're not looking at those asks, it's not a sign of, we're still looking to move forward on everything, so they're welcome to come back and present here to council at any point.
Thank you very much. Any more discussion on that item 8.2? Hearing none. Councillor Hilton, could you get Patty, Councillor Durkee?
And presentations. I hope everything's okay. He was talking to Jenny today, or planning to talk to Oh, Linda, but yeah.
All right, item number 9, new business, audit committee terms of reference.
Speak to it.
Yep.
I know I'm at the wrong desk. Sorry, we'll get Mike to fix my microphone.
You have the floor, Madam CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as part of the work around committees and committee appointments, we have before you, council, draft terms of reference that kind of put in writing what the role and responsibilities are of the audit committee. It's essentially taken directly from the Municipal Government Act in terms of the duties, the purpose, the mandate. We have included language in there around our personal values as a corporation in terms of conflict of interest, respectful workplaces, diversity, equity, and inclusion. One thing you'll note in there that we are proposing to council under membership on page 2. Right now, our audit committee provides for 1 citizen rep, but legislation would allow council to make room for up to 3 citizen representatives. So we're recommending that, you'll see that the language reads up to 3 citizen members, and we're recommending that council consider adopting that language to give you the flexibility. One of the benefits of having more than 1 citizen rep is you can create really good succession planning, because the audit is a technical process. And so your citizen appointments to committees, boards, and authorities policy really only allows you to renew a term once. And so if you only have 1 citizen rep and they serve 2 terms, you've done no succession planning, you got a new person coming in, and it's all new to them. So we are recommending that you give yourself space to appoint up to 3 members.
Any discussion on that? Councillor Patty Durkee, you have the floor.
I'll make a motion that we move the audit committee terms of reference to the regular council for approval.
Okay, a motion on the floor. I have a seconder, seconded by Councillor Daniel Allen. Councillor Hurlbert, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I really appreciate, adding the language there up to and increasing the number of citizen reps. I know that the Accessibility Advisory Committee had some challenges with things, and so adding that language to the terms of reference for that, committee was helpful up to this amount. So thank you very much for the work on that.
I have a question to the directly to the CAO in regards to our current citizen rep. How long has he been serving on this committee so far? Is his term up, or is he on his second term?
I believe he's wrapping up his first term, and you would have the prerogative, if he's interested, to appoint him for a second term.
Yeah, okay. I was just making sure that, we always got to make sure that we have a succession plan, something as important as the audit committee, so absolutely. So that's a recommendation that's going forward to regular council. I'm going to write that in here so I don't lose it. Sorry, did we already vote on this motion? I forgot. All right. Is there any discussion on the motion on the floor? Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Council. And as you can tell, I'm not a very good multitasker. Item 9.2, sunscreen dispensers. This was asked to be brought on the agenda by Councillor Sherry Hurlbert. Councillor Hurlbert, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One of our residents reached out to me after reading an article that was from the U.S. about having sunscreen dispensers at municipal or public locations. And I will make the motion that we refer this to, I make the motion that we recommend to regular council referring this to Yarmouth Recreation, because it is a joint between us and the town. And then I'll continue to talk.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Patty Durkee. Discussion, Councillor Hurlbert, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so after I was chatting with the resident, because she had seen it in a Boston newspaper, she has family in Boston, and then I did a bit of research, and lo and behold, all across Canada, there are public dispensers available everywhere, and this particular resident was talking more specifically to the Splash Park, and we know, I had had a brief conversation with CAO Brooks, and, you know, she had mentioned that our recreation department does have sunscreen on hand for children or people who show up without it, but I think more taking away any barrier that we can to have those available. And I was reading here, PEI, they actually say, one of them, Riverview, New Brunswick, says it's on behind the gazebo on the Riverfront Trail, and so these individual municipalities actually say specifically where they are. So, you know, if we can have our recreation department investigate that and then maybe bring it back to council to have further discussion on, you know, what the cost is going to be, where we would put them, you know, things like that. I think, again, back to anything that can reduce a barrier, you know, if you don't have to ask for it and it's just there. I have a granddaughter, and the last time I had her at the park, I thought, oh yeah, where's the sunscreen? It's at home. Bad grandmother, but, you know, we may do, but I think, you know, just having a future discussion with the Recreation Department would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. I really like that it's on here. Actually, I don't know if it's the same person or not, but I also seen this posted twice on Facebook. Once on the Splash Park page, and then there was another one, I can't remember what group it was that I'm involved with, and they also mentioned that and saying that they were concerned about sunscreen availability, especially on municipally owned property. So, and also I think it's a good idea that it goes to Yarmouth Recreation, because where the Splash Park is located is within the limits of the town of Yarmouth as well. So, absolutely. Madam CEO, did you have something to say? Your microphone's on.
I just thought I'd leave it on, save you the trouble.
It's no trouble, actually. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Now that the barriers are down in here, I had trouble seeing Councillor Nick Hilton's microphone flashing in front of me. Maybe I should look at my screen, because it tells me there that you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and just hopefully this works for everyone, and, you know, we have reasons to break out the sunscreen, and the Splash Park company showed up this morning, and it should be installed by the end of next week. It will take another week after that to put some sod down to make sure that the kids don't fall in any holes, but sometime in September, I can't speak for the committee, but I feel there'll be a grand opening of sorts. So, kind of exciting.
Any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Actually, Councillor Hilton, that's exciting news. I hope you're going to bring your swim trunks with you, because I will. I'm one of the biggest kids out there. Back to Rob Stevens' comment about having fun. All right, so there's no more discussion. Motion on the floor to move this to regular council. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Okay, item 9.3, Sanford Drawbridge. Councillor Patty Durkee, you had asked to have this added to the agenda. You have the floor.
I did, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed on some development at the Sanford Drawbridge. So most of you know that this has been there have been ongoing issues with the actual drawbridge, and a few years ago, we partnered with both two other levels of government to repair the drawbridge and get the chain going and functioning, which it is, thankfully. And there was some wood replaced, but one thing that didn't happen was it was never painted. So what's happening now is there has been a member of the community who has been delivering living wharves there and really noticing how many tourists do come and see the bridge, and really it's looking really bad. So I reached out to, on behalf of the community, to Small Craft Harbors to see if they would do anything. This is not new. I mean, we've reached out to them in the past, and they will not contribute any funds to repair the bridge or to do anything with the bridge, because they feel it's not imperative to the functioning of the wharf, although fishermen do use it out there, but the wharf functions without the drawbridge. I then contacted the Harbor Authority, and they too will not provide any funds in order to repair the drawbridge. So there it sits, unfixed. Some of the wood is rotting, and it is unpainted. And so one of the things that we did a while back, actually in April, is on behalf of YASTA, we entered a grant proposal for Development Nova Scotia, and I believe no one in this area was awarded any funds in order to do any community projects, which is really disappointing. And I have to say, I was just in Halifax and walked the waterfront in Halifax, and it's pretty amazing, and there's a lot of new things that Development Nova Scotia has been involved in. But we've been in touch with them many times, and we've had absolutely nothing done in our area. So the community group is moving forward, trying to secure some donations and getting someone to look at the engineering component to make sure it's okay. And they're going to try and do what they can to maybe voluntarily fix up the drawbridge. That being said, they've been informed that the municipality has a grant for beautification. And so this is a concern of mine, is that here's a community group wanting to help, but they are not a nonprofit organization. And so I'm just wondering if that's something that we may have to tweak at some point for people who want to do some beautification. That being said, the Harbor Authority is a nonprofit organization, so if they would take the responsibility, they could actually apply next year for our $2,500 grant for beautification. So I wanted to bring this up to let you know what's going on. YASTA and the community all feel that the drawbridge is a really important tourism attraction, and it's just something I think that we need to keep in mind as to, what can we do to help out. And it's not that we haven't done anything in the past. We did. We haven't stopped trying to keep, and this is what the community needs to know, is that we have not stopped trying to get money and funding to do something that doesn't belong to us, and that's the difficult part, is trying to be involved. So if you have any suggestions to our CAO, to any councillors of ways that we might be able to assist. I know next year they can apply, well, the Harbor Authority can apply for our beautification grant, but I just wanted to toss it out there that that's what's happening, and I'm really pleased that the community is coming together to do something if they can, or it could be beyond what they can afford to do. Thank you. No recommendations at this time.
I'm kind of curious, Councillor Durkee, why would this group of community members not start a not-for-profit society? I'm just curious, because we've had, obviously, we've had like other organizations, like Friends of Yarmouth Light can be an example of that. I don't think it costs anything to register as a not.
There's some expenses.
Is there some expenses on that? I'm just curious about that. I don't know if your microphone's on to answer that question. Yes, it is.
Okay, sorry, what I do know, because of Friends of the Light, is that it takes a considerable time to get registered as a nonprofit organization, number one. And number two, you have to also register as a charitable organization with the federal government. And that's even harder and a little bit more complicated, unfortunately. But like I said, the Harbor Authority, I know there is Dan, maybe you can clarify this. I believe there is a member's wife that would be willing to work with us to do some, not us, to work with the community group to do the application to us. And that's why I said, look, I can't take over organizing that, because if we do get the application, then I'm one of the decision makers for it. So fortunately, there is a member of the community that is taking over that organizing the people to
Yeah,
bring it
okay.
together. But I'll take any recommendations that you have that I can pass forward, I guess.
Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, this is an interesting project, Patty. I think my advice would be to try and go through the Harbor Authority. It's probably on their property, it's probably leased to them through small crafts and harbors. I don't know who the president is, or if they actually have a manager. They do. And that would be my avenue. Through my experience, I would, if it was me, I think I would welcome it. It's just a little bit of paperwork, and it could help your harbor. So I would hope that whoever is president and harbor manager would be willing to sit down and hear, especially if you have a group that maybe can do most of the legwork for them, and then bring it to them, and then it's really a sign off for them to apply for a grant. We can't guarantee what we can give them at this point, but yeah, because I think we did give money, like you're mentioning the engineering aspect of it, and I thought we had given money, we partnered for the repairs. So have the repairs been done that it works?
Sorry, Mr. Chair. It does work, but now in the last, it was done in 2018, and since then, it's not the functioning of it, it's some of the wood that's rotted out. So that's a concern. And I have been in touch with Harbor Authority, and they're absolutely all in favor of having a volunteer group go ahead and look after it. But in terms of an application, there is a person that associated with the Harbor Authority that would be willing to do the application if needed, which is a good thing. So we're moving in the right direction, but again, they're not willing to, it's sad that they're not willing to take responsibility for it, but I understand it's not, the wharves are always needing work, so that's where their money is being directed.
No, and I understand that, but I think the way you're going is the right way.
Okay, thank you.
I think going, as long as the group can get the Harbor Authority behind them, do the legwork.
Which they're doing, they're all doing it.
For this type of thing, I know our harbor, we would be more than happy to sign off if it was in our community, like it's only a matter of putting our name on the grant because we're the nonprofit and it's in our leased area. We'd be jumping all over it. So,
Thanks, yeah, that's what I've recommended, so hopefully we're going in the right direction, because really, it's another icon in our community.
For sure, yeah.
Thanks.
Councillor Hilton.
Thank you, and I think that the idea of this is actually growing. I was contacted by Josh Trask, who used to sit on one of our committees, and, you know, he's interested in picking up a paintbrush to help, like, and semi-organizing that as well. So I think the residents in Sanford are interested. I did also hear some concerns that maybe drawing public to a working wharf created some liability issues too, so I'm not really sure where that stands. But it's definitely an icon for our area. We should participate in trying to preserve that. But to John's point about a nonprofit, like I sit on the board of a couple, it is a lot of work to run a nonprofit. When really the goal of this community group is probably a short-term fix. So we probably need to fit it inside of our rules if we can help. This is something we want to do, which I think we decided on by creating a placemaking grant. We just got to find a creative way to do that.
All right, thank you very much, Councillor Durkee, for that update. I was always wondering about that, and that is an icon to the community of Sanford and out in that area, and anything we can do to toot our own horn, especially that's one of the unique features of our area, absolutely. So thank you for that update. So that concludes the end of this Committee of the Whole agenda. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Allen, seconded by Councillor Nick Hilton. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone.